We were in LA for a film festival. Definitely exhausted, running on a few hours of sleep, and then got to the show just in time, right when it basically about a half hour before it started. So it was cool. We definitely made it, but we were up at an ungodly hour. I just finished my first feature-length film about a year ago. And when we finished it, one of the things I wanted to do was submit it to a bunch of festivals, basically all over the United States. And I wanted to do that because I have friends all over the country and wanted to use it as an opportunity if it did get into a festival in one of the cities, either where I'm from or where some of my friends live or family live. I'd be able to invite them to go see it, and they'd actually get to see the movie in a theater. So that was really, really cool to be able to go to Hollywood to see the film and to have it shown in a theater that all my friends and family could see. Michael was there. He's basically like a brother to me. I've known him, same thing, since I was a baby, and his father was there as well. And it was really cool to just see everyone, show up. It meant a lot to me, and it was definitely a fun experience. I grew up in Southern California originally before moving to Colorado, and so a lot of my family is out there. So anytime we go back to California for anything, I'm always excited to see everyone. Having Erica as a partner has been awesome. She's very supportive, and I know I'm not easy in terms of being a partner. I've always got something going on, someplace to be between running a business. In addition to all of my personal passions and pursuits, it can be overwhelming and be a lot. And she's been by my side, through all of it, and she knows what she signed up for, but that doesn't change the fact that it makes it difficult, or it can be difficult when you are being pulled in so many different directions. But having her as a partner is awesome. I couldn't do without her. Part of the reason I submitted to a lot of the smaller film festivals was, at first I had the thought of just submitting to some of the bigger ones, and then when I thought about it, I wanted to just get into the smaller ones, really, all the boutique festivals, because it's a much more intimate setting. And I thought it would be cool at this stage of my career. This is just my first film, and so I'm not too cool for autographs and Instagram selfies yet, but I never will be. That's because that's just my nature. But I wanted to kind of do like a grassroots movement of just like meeting people, at some of these smaller festivals. And I lived in California for 25 plus years of my life, and I didn't actually, it's a hard place to leave because it's so beautiful and sunny, and it's right by the beach, and it's a very relaxed pace. But at the end of the day, I was at a point in my late 20s where I wanted to change, and decided to move to Colorado because of all the places I had visited in the States. It's definitely one of the most beautiful in terms of the mountains. As much as I love the ocean, I love the mountains just as much. And as much as I love surfing, I love skiing and snowboarding just as much. And so I remember driving through Colorado and thinking, I've got to move here. Isabel is like a second mother to me. She's basically my El Salvadorian mom. And she's known me since I was a baby. She calls me her gringo son.
Very easy gringo child,
She said I was a very easy gringo child. So Isabel, I've definitely been being in like the building industry. She always asks me questions about windows and doors and, HVAC and stuff like that. And so I told her, don't have anyone touch your AC. I'll fix it. I'll put in a new one when it's time. And the system that she had in before was it was maybe 20 years old, it was oversized for the house. It was a 5-ton system, and she didn't need that. And part of the reason she had such a big system was the attic had 0 insulation. And so when I went over there in this past March, I installed a new system for her and put in new furnace, new AC. So no issues, everything works great?
Everything works great, Howard.
Cool.
Everything works great. And it's so good not being scared, you know, that the thing's gonna go out.
I know.
Or break anything.
A lot more efficient, and the size of the equipment is about half what she was used to before. And I advised her on what to do with the insulation to make sure she got that up to snuff. And now she is very happy. It definitely cools off in her house, and her energy bill is a lot more manageable, because before it was just terrible equipment and it was just running constantly on and off, and so her energy bill was ridiculous. But she's really happy with the new equipment, and it's super quiet. Mucho quiet. Anytime I stop in, I make sure the filter's clean and make sure, I do my part, because I don't live in California anymore, so I can't just stop by if she has an issue. So I like to make sure that she's taken care of and everything's good to go. To come see you.
Yeah, you could be and say it, something.
Yeah.
And the guys having fun and you together and all done. It's so beautiful. And I'm so happy with my air conditioning, I'm not scared that thing get broke again. No, I'm fine.
She was saying that she's not scared if her AC is going to get broke again.
Because I get the best one,
Because she got the best one because I installed it for her.
Yes.
She said yes. So Mike was my barber from the time I was a little kid. When I first wanted a flat top, my mom's hairstylist didn't know how to do a flat top. He only cut women's hair, and so he sent me to Mike, and he was my barber from the time I was 5 until I was, an adult. And his wife was Cindy. Hey, Cindy. How's it going? I got my videographer with me.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh, good to see you.
Good to see you too. And Mike, unfortunately he passed away this past September. And a few months later, Cindy called me and she asked me, she wanted to had a question about air conditioning and said, hey, is this a good deal for an air conditioning? And I said, why don't you just have me do it? I'll drive out from California. This is a slow season. I'll put it in for free, basically. And she said, really, you do that? And I said, yeah. And I looked at her bid, and it was a good deal, but I just wanted to make sure it was done right and make sure it was taken care of, because I feel responsible. I know Mike's looking over her and watching over me, and so it's definitely something that I wanted to. It was cool to be able to do. And so when we were in town, I definitely wanted to stop in and say hi and make sure the AC was running well, because she had called me and they were having an issue with the thermostat, and apparently the condensate pump had gone bad. And so I stopped in to install it. She got the new one. I told her where to get it, and she swapped it out at the parts house for me. But I went there and swapped out the condensate pump, and everything's working perfectly. So I wanted to check it out and make sure it was good before we left, and also to say hi. And when I ended up doing the AC install for her, one of the things we did was Mike's bike. I helped him kind of get back into riding motorcycles, because one time when he was cutting my hair, I showed up on a bike and he said, man, I gotta get me a bike. And then the next week he showed up, and that was the bike that she basically traded for the AC. As soon as I installed it for her, she basically gave it to me so we could keep it in the family. And now I get to ride that bike and keep the legend of Mike alive. It was a fun trip, but after, we were exhausted. It's funny because a lot of times my vacations I feel tired from them. But this time we got back and the flight was delayed originally, which was nice. We had more time to enjoy dinner and kind of took our time getting back to the airport. But then when we landed, we ended up sitting on the tarmac for like 2.5 hours just waiting, because everything was backed up from the crazy Colorado weather. There was thunderstorms, and so the gates were backed up, and we just had to sit and wait until our gate opened up so we could go home, because they wouldn't let us walk across the runway. I guess that's not allowed.